Well, today was opening day for the 9/11 Memorial Museum. The first chance for the public to walk through after weeks of reporting on some controversies, including the 7-minute film about Al-Qaeda and demands by some that the museum edit the message to remove words like jihad and Islamist. Joining me now, Harris Zafar, who's the national spokesperson for Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA and author of Demystifying Islam, Tackling the Tough Questions. Also, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, who is the founder and president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy and author of A Battle for the Soul of Islam, an American Muslim patriot's fight to save his faith. Thank you both so much for being here. Dr. Jasser, let me start with you. You are somebody whose views CARE and others have criticized. They don't like your points of view on these matters, and they are one of the groups that's objecting to this film. So far, it's opened to not much fanfare. We went out, we spoke with a lot of people. No one seemed to be complaining about the use of jihad in this film or Islamist, and yet people like, Harris are going to tell us that it's offensive. Your position on why it's not?
Well, it's not offensive, Megan, because, I mean, come on now. We're 13 years post 9/11, and you see what's happened in Egypt with the Islamists taking over, in Iran with the Islamists subjugating Muslims and others, in Saudi Arabia and Pakistan and Boko Haram. These are all byproducts. Al-Qaeda and 9/11 woke up America to the threat not only of Al-Qaeda, but the bigger threat of global Islamism. And groups like CARE want to keep America in the dark, and especially keep Muslims from fighting this war within the House of Islam, claim that they're victims, and their operation is to be a front for the Islamist movement and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation that wants to suffocate Muslims from having this debate within the House of Islam. And the museum was basically, the documentary is telling the facts as it is.
Harris, 3,000 Americans were killed on 9/11. Many of them have their remains still there at Ground Zero, steps away from where this movie plays. Can you understand how their survivors, their relatives, their loved ones, and many other Americans don't give two figs whether some communities object to the term jihad or Islamist being used in this film?
Oh, absolutely. And certainly there are greater matters at play for the Muslim world, as Dr. Jasser mentioned, that other things are happening within the House of Islam, certainly. But to answer your specific question, the absence of an initial overt response from museum goers does not invalidate the sentiments of your fellow Americans, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, nor does it really invalidate the need to be careful with with what we do, what we say.
Now,
let me be perfectly clear, though.
Why should the objections of a few lead to the modification of a film that the museum stands behind?
Exactly.
Brian Williams of NBC News, who edited it, clearly had no problem with it, and nobody other than these small few groups is complaining.
Well, Megan, let me be perfectly clear here. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community, unlike some other groups, is not calling for the ban, the overt censorship, or even removal of words from this film. We respond to speech with speech, which is why I'm here under the leadership of the International Khalifa of Islam. All we're saying is to be fair and, more importantly, factual in the reporting of world events. And instead of defining jihad by the actions of lunatics, be fair in stating that they are extremist, terrorist, guerrilla warfare groups who use Islam or religious justifications to justify what's actually a very clearly political agenda.
Go ahead, Dr. Jasser.
Harris, I'm sorry, but as well-intended as you are and as much respect I have for you, this type of mentality is a mentality of denial that prevents the treatment of the cancer within, that is almost like an alcoholic that doesn't want to deal with their problems, and that you want to say that jihad is something beautiful and wonderful, and the reality is jihadists are global movements from Syria to Pakistan, and we have to address it at its core. And by prohibiting the language, you're prohibiting us from engaging imams and clerics on the theology that they're exploiting, and thus obstructing the reforms that you need. And especially, I would say, Harris, the Ahmadiyya movement, who is persecuted in every Muslim country by Sharia law, should understand these things that come from Islamism.
So that's why, my friend, my friend, that and even my op-ed that's on Fox News, I'm not saying to not use this word. We're always been saying is
not, but
we want to exude what the jihad is, and we condemn probably more vocal than any other Muslim group in the world these acts by these barbarians. And that's why I have chapter by chapter in my book where I confront the militant perversions of Islam, the political misapplications of Islam, and prove without doubt that they stand in stark contrast to Islam.
The museum, so the viewers know, is standing behind the film, has not agreed to modify it, has not agreed to put up a disclaimer on it. And so for now, it appears that battle has been settled in the museum's favor. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you, Megan. It was a pleasure.
We want to